Thickosaurs Podcast.
Welcome back to the Thickosaurs Podcast. I am your host, Michelle.
Anna.
Molly.
And Melissa.
And today, we are going to talk about the difference between psychopaths and sociopaths.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, because I won't, I kind of had. Sorry.
Because we don't have the sound effects. We don't have the what is it called? The sound.
The strings.
The
violence.
no the. Gosh,
Soundboard?
Yeah, soundboard. So I know how to do it with my mouth, so I'll just do it. Dun, 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 dun.
Watch her try to edit this. She fixes it.
Oh, she gonna do it. That's right. But yes, today, psychopaths and sociopaths, psychology stuff. It's always interesting, and I'm sure, like most people, I always wondered what the difference was between psychopaths and sociopaths because they have very similar
Characteristics?
Yes, characteristics and like symptoms or whatever that make them who they are. So, let's see. So I've been looking online for some like resources and ways to kind of help explain it better. I guess more like I wouldn't say layman terms, but more of just ways that we can all understand better and how to differentiate them a little more. Mm-hmm. So, to start off, both psychopathy and sociopathy, also referred to as...
Wait, can we pause?
Yeah. So, kind of definitionally wise, both psychopathy and sociopathy, also referred to as antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD, are characterized by a pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others. So, a sociopath is a person with a personality disorder that is marked by traits of impulsivity, risk-taking, and violence. Whereas a psychopath is a person who has an antisocial personality disorder characterized by a lack of regard for the rights and feelings of others, controlled and manipulative behavior, the absence of shame, and an inability to form emotional relationships / bonds.
Oh, so sorry. Somebody just popped up in my head. Sorry.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Click. Yeah. Click, click, click. So, I mean, like it says here, deceit and manipulation are central aspects of both personality types. Mm-hmm. However, even though they are often confused with one another because they manifest in similar ways, they are two distinct different personality disorders.
Oh.
Yes. If I remember correctly, I was scrolling through TikTok once, and one of the psychology TikToks came by, and the lady was talking about it, and she says the one major difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is that a psychopath is born, while a sociopath is made. Like,
like their environment.
Yeah, like their environment, their traumas and stuff like that.
Oh.
And what she means is because there are researches out there that prove that people who are diagnosed as psychopaths, their brains are different.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the way their nerves and stuff like synapses, they fire differently. She talked about how the sympathetic system, which is our flight or flight parts of our brain. Mm-hmm. She says that the psychopaths are kind of, they don't have that in their brains. So they literally physically don't have that fight or flight to them, like at all.
That's supposed to be what people use to kind of like regulate themselves or to protect themselves. So
yes, or they feel guilty when they do something wrong. Like, say, when you run a red light, you'll automatically you feel guilty, and you kind of like your eyes widen and you look around and make sure you don't get caught by the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Whoop, whoop. It's the son of the police. You like my soundboard?
Oh, yeah. So psychopaths will not have that feeling whatsoever. Okay, they don't have that sudden rush of guilt or heightened awareness type thing.
Right.
So that's how she describes it. So yes, psychopaths physically have a different brain than we do, than what normal people do, and what sociopaths have.
Oh.
So I thought that was interesting. It's kind of like, wow, okay, that's why they say psychopaths are born, because they are literally born with a different brain.
Dang.
So that's
That's like that one dude, isn't it? That Jeffrey Dahmer.
I think he is a psychopath, isn't he?
I don't
know.
I
They
never
didn't
looked
let
into that.
anyone look at his brain.
Oh, really? They never.
Yeah,
never
if I
studied his
remember
brain?
correctly.
Oh,
It's just in they have it in a container, but I don't think they have yet to invest.
they actually have it preserved somewhere.
I think that's, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they have it preserved, but they have not allowed anyone to inspect it and look at it.
Oh, that's interesting.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Yeah, I think people did say he was a psychopath, or but I'm not sure. I haven't watched the documentary. I kind of don't want to.
I don't either, just because if they keep on glorifying those murderers.
I didn't watch the documentary. I watched the other one, the
recent one.
the one where they had someone play him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I watched that, and then at the very end, it tells you. I think at the very end that they ended up removing his brain from the body, and they have it in containment, and they don't let anyone. I think it's his
Wow.
parents that's saying that they don't want anyone looking at his brain or something like that. I don't know.
That's weird to just keep his brain.
well, I'm sure they want to do studies
Right,
about
right,
his
right,
brain,
right.
because the whole psychopath, sociopath thing. They want to know how his brain fired.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird that did his parents allow him to just to take the brain, but you can't
do anything about it?
yeah.
Oh, I have no idea. We'll have
Experiment.
to-
I have
You see what I'm saying?
I don't
Like, that's kinda
remember.
weird.
Yeah, like I said, it's very. If I remember correctly, they do, but they do have his brain preserved.
Interesting. Well, I will have to look that up and answer those questions later. Okay, so continuing. Although there's a lifetime prevalence of both disorders, although the lifetime prevalence of both disorders is roughly 1% because of violent acts associated with and society's fascination with this disorder, they are often the protagonist of a film or the headline of a newspaper, aka Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, wow.
In addition to the unique ways in which these two disorders are diagnosed, their unique histories, and the different treatment approaches, the key difference between the two is that psychopathy has an effective and interpersonal domain that is not related to ASPD. So, there's like a little chart here. It says psychopath versus sociopath, but from reading it before, it's very, very similar. So for psychopath, they have a lack of guilt, remorse, empathy. They pretend to feel emotions, and they have the inability to form true emotional attachments. They tend to be very successful, very dishonest, manipulative behavior, narcissism, and superficial charm. Jeffrey Dahmer. Sociopaths, same kind of similar things. Lack of remorse, but guilt and empathy may be present in some cases. Some emotions are felt, like rage, but are shallow and fleeting. They may form close attachments to one or a few individuals. Consistent irresponsibility and repeated violations of law. Constant lying and deception, and they're typically aggressive and have reckless behavior. So, now, On to the real question is what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath besides the physicality of the brain? Let's see. It says here that although the two diagnoses can manifest in similar ways, it is important to understand that these diagnoses are not interchangeable. So you're either one or the other. You can't be both, or you can't go back and forth type of thing. So, so kind of like, while the average layperson will often label any serial killer or someone who engages in heinous acts of violence as having one of these two disorders, not all violent people are psychopaths or sociopaths. Another difference between them is they both have unique histories and the different methods used to treat these disorders. The key distinction is that psychopathy possesses a unique, effective... Oh, didn't I just read that? No? I feel like I did. It has an interpersonal domain that is not related to sociopathy. Both disorders have an antisocial deviance domain, but characteristics such as shallowness, callousness, lack of empathy, and emotional detachment are uniquely psychopath traits. So for a psychopath, the individuals who are diagnosed with this, also called antisocial personality disorder, they display a decrease in emotional response and lack of empathy with others. The individual might possess a superficial charm, but deep down is manipulative and impulsive. So basically a lack of regard of the rights and feelings of others, manipulative behavior. Let's see.
So I have a question with all this. Because you said that it's just a antisocial disorder. Is that what you said?
Yeah, antisocial personality disorder.
So is it possible for people who have this to live a normal life? Kind of like with narcissists, where they're narcissists, but they try to live a normal life. Because usually when you refer to psychopaths or sociopaths, they're always murderers, killers.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, so is it possible to live a normal life but still suffer from this? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I think the answer is yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all psychopaths and sociopaths are murderers.
Right. Because I mean, like, there's that, what's that word called? What's the word? Oh, you're a sociopath or a psychopath, so that must mean that you are bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that you're a bad person.
Generalization. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think psychopaths and sociopaths can live a somewhat normal life. Normal meaning like they don't have to be killing people.
Yeah.
Like serial killers, they don't have to be born just to do that. Because from what I remember reading and watching before, like say, like in the business world, psychopaths are known to be extremely successful. Like when it comes to like climbing the ladder and stuff, they won't care about anybody's feelings. They will do what they need to do to get to the top, right? And usually that's what do you call it? They're not killing anybody.
Right.
So it's just a regular climbing the ladder type thing that they do. However, they're just missing the emotional part to them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So they don't have that that constant feeling of needing to stab somebody.
Okay.
If that makes sense. You know, just some psychopaths, you know, kind of like what we've been talking about, Jeffrey Dahmer. Some are like that, and there are some who can somewhat have a normal life. It's just that you can tell something's off about them.
Oh.
You know?
Usually people always, for some reason, relate mental health with violence, but it's actually
Yeah.
the statistics have shown that if someone is diagnosed with a mental health certain illness or diagnosis, they're actually the ones that are experiencing the violence themselves, like being the victim, not the actual perpetrator. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, like surprisingly, even though psychopathy is like very popular subject that people often talk about, because like murder mysteries and criminal cases and stuff like that, psychopathy is actually extremely uncommon, according to this article. Because it says here it is estimated that only 0.5 to 1% of the population actually meets the criteria for the psychopathy disorder.
I think it's so
If I remember
scary.
correctly, for Jeffrey Dahmer, I think he just grew up like that.
He was born like that.
Kind of, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
think his dad was, what do you call those? The people who, if I remember correctly, if I'm thinking of the right serial killer, I think his dad did the funeral stuff,
He's a
Who's
embalming stuff.
Yeah.
I think his dad did that.
A morgue curator? Is that what
Kind
they
of
call
like
him?
that. So he kind of learned that at a young age, and then
maybe that just fascinated him.
it fascinated because I think he first did it on animals first, and then he moved on
To women.
I don't think it's women. I think it was men,
Oh.
if I remember correctly.
wow.
He aimed for, I think, if I remember, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't
and
Jeffrey Dahmer the one that took the Asian kid? Is that Dahmer?
Yes, I think it was Dahmer.
It was
'cause
men.
It was the young boys and men. I think
Yeah.
colored men. I think that he aimed for.
He has.
Oh, who am I confusing him with then?
That's
That was more women, but anyway.
Talking about that one guy, the other one that a lot of people are
Manson?
This one that Zac Efron played, and he played a serial
Oh, and
killer
he's very,
too.
very
Charming.
Yes, he was very charismatic.
yeah, charismatic.
I think you're probably talking about him that aimed towards women,
I think
because Jeffrey
if I'm-
Dahmer did go after people of color.
yeah. He
which-
did people of color.
That's
'cause
why some people didn't want to watch his.
Yeah,
Oh.
he was the one that did males.
Yes.
I forgot who the
17
other
males.
one is that you're talking about, but he
Look up
was
Zac Efron. See what
very
movies he played in.
charismatic, and he went after women, and they always were like, there's only one lady that escaped, but she said,
was he a
but
serial
everybody
killer?
said that he was very charismatic. He was
He was
good at
good-looking.
talking, and he was also good looking.
Scroll
Yeah,
down.
yeah, I know he did it.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he's the one that had the apartment, and then the lady, or Jeffrey Dahmer's the one with the apartment, and then the lady next door starts smelling stuff.
Yeah, because
So
she
she
would
would-
have people rotting in
Yeah,
there.
and she would rat him out all the time, and then they never like get him. And then I think, if I remember correctly, in the TV show, he came over and wanted to talk to her and offered her like a sandwich, and she did not want to eat that sandwich.
Good for her. Smart lady.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the police came over all the time, checked his room, whatever. Nothing was there.
Yeah, nothing
and
was there.
then,
She
he
would
took-
hear
he-
she would hear stuff from the vent.
Yeah, he took the Asian kid, the Asian male, took him
And then
in there.
the
and
neighbor was
knocked him
outside.
out, drilled a hole in his back of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He escaped. The women told the police officers to check him, but then Dahmer came and was like, "Oh no, he's my boyfriend."
Yeah.
You know why
I
they
remember
didn't
that.
listen to that
because
woman?
they were women.
She
No,
was
she was a black
she was
woman.
a black
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, nobody listens to black women. That's
Like they
why.
could have saved him,
Yeah.
but no.
But then back to that brain thing, I was gonna say that his dad wanted closure. That's why he had his son's brain cremated, and so the judge ordered his brain to be cremated forever, preventing scientists from revealing its secrets.
Wow. So they don't have it.
They don't have it; it's just cremated. It's somewhere, but it's
Right, but it's
they can't touch it.
they can't do any tests on it because it's been cremated.
Yeah,
So
but they had it for a little bit. Yeah, before he decided to get it cremated.
well.
That's crazy.
For the sake of science, dude, he should have let them probe his brain.
But
Yeah.
would you do that though?
I
If that
guess
was
like
one of
as
your
your
son?
yeah, that's true. If that was your kid,
If that was
and
your
they
kid.
did all
Again,
that.
for him. I would
If my child was a Jeffrey Dahmer, yes, I would.
and then you could
Because you would
see
be like, I don't know what happened.
Yes, because I would be like, I don't know what happened. Because I would feel like that's not my son.
But then
It's
again,
like,
if you
I can't
see,
believe that that's my son. So yes, poke and prod his brain to see what was going on.
I think if I remember correctly, his dad taught him some of the techniques that he used.
I just feel like a lot of that is sus because I heard that they don't let men work.
Well,
At
now
morgues.
it's-
Yeah,
Yes.
at morgues.
Now,
That's why I was
huh?
like, that's sus, very very sus. But
Yeah, a lot of morgues nowadays try not to hire men because they have a higher likelihood to
perform like isn't it like necro? Like
Yes.
they have it's something.
they have necrophilia.
It's that too.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. His dad was a chemist, so he knew all the chemical stuff to do all that stuff. And so and then, if I remember correctly, in the movie, Jeffrey Dahmer asked his dad how to do all that stuff, just to learn how to do it. You
See,
know.
that's weird. I've been like, what?
And then I guess he used that technique on all of his stuff, his victims and
Oh
stuff.
my God.
That's why she said, if I remember correctly, the neighbor, she said she would always be smelling some weird smells coming from his apartment.
Oh,
That poor, that poor baby. God.
Makes me sick. I think like the victims, families are like, stop glorifying him. Like, stop making these documentaries about him.
Yeah, and then he died in jail. He got killed by another prisoner.
Good. I would be like that too.
And
Anyway, yes, psychopathy is very uncommon. Just to reiterate, only 0.5 to 1% of the population actually meet the criteria for that disorder. It is even less common among women, so it's more common in men. One study found that 11% of female violent subjects are psychopaths, but 31% of male violent subjects can be accurately labeled with this disorder.
oh, I'll be interested in reading that original
Source.
then, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
always they only take like a little bit, so you never know.
Excerpt, yeah.
Yeah, like was that population just predominantly white people, or was that like out, the nerd in
I'm
me?
kind of like, why do you think that is?
Oh, emotionally, because they're all
Yeah.
suppressed.
Yeah, I'm like,
So
why
it
do you think
breaks
it
them.
is?
Yeah, so it breaks them mentally.
Back to Jeffrey Dahmer. I think it's also because his parents split. And they were having family issues. If I remember correctly. So he ended up staying with his dad, and his mom
Maybe the
left.
mom knew.
I think the
Maybe
mom
mom.
had like something. She felt like something was fishy with Jeffrey.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm
but
sorry. It's like the I don't know. It's like a maternal instinct. A lot of the times, like something's wrong, but a lot of times like you're in denial, type thing. But like before, it's like if it were my child, like if knock on wood, one of my boys was a little strange, and say he grew up and he did stuff like that, I would be sad, of course. I would be sad. Would be upset. I would fear for my child, yes. But it's like I also know what they're doing is wrong, and so it's like I'm not one of those parents who would protect my child if they seriously did something wrong.
maybe those
I think
are
that's
the
what her-
parents that are in
um,
denial.
I think that's what his dad tried to do. And that's why the mom kind of got fed up with.
Oh, like tried to defend him.
Yeah, I think something like that. And so I think she left him. And then she never saw, I think, Jeffrey or the dad. Until the court cases and everything where she had to come in and help deal with it. Or have her opinion
Yeah.
on things.
Or testified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would be sad. Yes, I'd be devastated. But if they had asked me to do research on his brain,
But hell yeah. do it.
Yeah, I'd be like, yes, do it.
But like
Figure
I said,
out
it was
what it is.
it's what the dad said was for his closure, like closure for him, that he didn't have them do it.
I guess.
I don't know. But back to your thing list, what you
Basically,
said.
he denied what he raised. No, I was kidding. I don't know.
I would be curious if there's a study that they research how exactly why it's predominantly in men.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Versus
Why is
women.
it predominantly in men and not women?
They probably haven't done research on it.
It probably didn't help that they
there's-
probably won't allow them to do it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a little bit of research on it, like somewhere on the internet, but I don't have that.
On the internet. On
Yeah,
Beyonce's
so-
internet. Beyonce. Ah!
Okay, so it says here also, additionally, while as high as 20 to 25% of the prison population qualifies for the diagnosis, only 16% of females who are incarcerated meet the criteria for psychopathy. So this is just meeting the criteria. They're not officially diagnosed with it. So
But they have the
That's an old source, though. too.
yeah, it's a very old source. So that could change nowadays, you know. Let's see. People also question, like, because the statistics have not always been common knowledge or even knowledge at all, for that matter. Like, when was psychology first studied and how has our understanding of this order evolved? So, let's see. Apparently, they've had studies of this disorder that dates back all the way to ancient Greece, when one of Aristotle's students was possibly the first to write about psychopaths, labeling them as the unscrupulous. Put simply, he was describing people without empathy or a conscience, which is pretty much what the definition of a psychopath is. So, yeah, the thought and the study of psychopathy has been around for a long time.
Wow.
Like back all the way to like 1800s.
Because that's back when they had a lot of philosophers, right? And stuff like that. So he was probably like, why are these people dumb? That sounds like something that List would think of. Why are these people dumb?
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
they just, I don't know, they just have this emptiness about them, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Again, what me and Anna said last night. What's wrong, baby girl? A lot of times, some men
I don't
just
have no
need that.
daddy.
Yeah.
I don't have a daddy, so I need someone to daddy me.
Yeah, somebody just be like, "What's wrong, baby girl?" Like, seriously, what is wrong with you?
And then,
Why
and
are
then
you
they'll get,
deflecting on other people? What
and they'll
the
be like,
hell's wrong?
there ain't nothing wrong with me. And you're like, you sure? Well, this one time, my daddy
want a hug?
didn't hold my
Yeah.
hand or hug me.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm happy that your boys are able to say, "Yeah, I need a hug."
Yeah.
yeah. And that's, I don't know, that's just how I'm trying to put my household as, you know, for them
Yeah.
to be able to be open, be themselves, even though it drives me crazy. It's like, I just want them to know that it's a safe place for them to express
Yeah.
themselves and to be okay to ask for what they need.
Yeah, because I know yesterday, I think you guys left already, but we went on the slide last night, and Liam went up first, and then Rowan was behind him, and Liam, he was pretty high up, and then he fell and he slipped all the way down.
Oh, shit.
And so he hit Rowan on the way down, so Rowan like laid on top of Liam,
Oh.
and they both slid down. And then it was the first time that, because it's been a while since I've seen Liam cry or get hurt, kind of thing. And so he was just like, "Oh, everything hurts," and I'm like, "Oh my god, he's just a baby all over again." And I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, boo." So you need a hug, you want a break, you want, like, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
So I can help you. And he's just like, I'm just gonna sit over here and have a break for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, just let me know whenever you're ready,
Yeah.
and then we'll go back again. This is why we tell you guys to make sure to hold on to the handles when you guys
Oh,
go
I slept
up.
on the ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ladder.
Kind of like Mike did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I figured that's like, because
but he was higher up on the ladder, and then he fell.
Did they make it out like halfway or all the way at the top?
Like more than halfway, and then he slipped and he fell.
I think it scared them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scared. It scared me when I tried to do what Jensen did, run up and throw my body on the slide.
Yeah.
It scared me.
Yeah. Because I think Michael noticed that the boys won't hold on to the handles. They'll kind of just like run up there,
I was like, nope.
kind of thing.
I held on to those because I was like, I felt my feet in the way how they're sitting on the ladder part. I'm like, they ain't gonna hold me. It's like I need like support. So when I'm up there, I hold on to the arm thing
For dear life.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I have the girl in like the little one with me. It's because it's like I have this one to protect. So it's like, and I don't have enough. I don't think I would have enough room to turn my body around because she's right in front of me.
Yeah. That's what I was telling Michael and them. I was like, on the top of the slide, they need another handle on like the wall, so that way when you're up there, you can just pull yourself up. Because the handle stops at a certain point when you get to the top.
Yeah, that's why at that point I pulled.
Oh, you should have went on it. It's fine.
Yeah, I pulled the little one up there, and she just sits there, and I'm like, okay, she's up, so I gotta get myself
At
up
least
there.
she knows to wait for you.
She waits, yeah, she waits there, or like I think by the time we're up there, it's either one of the boys is already up there,
Oh.
and so she'll see them, and then she'll just chit chat with them, and then I'm like, okay, boy, you gotta go now because she's already eager to go.
At least she waits for you.
No.
Yeah,
I was worried that they would just be like, bye, and then just go.
no. Because I walked past her and I sat on the slide first, and she saw how slowly I crawled over there, so she's over there too, trying to crawl to the other side because she knows it's wet, and I'm pretty sure because she slipped before, so she's like carefully crawling over to me, and then I like went like this, and she kind of was just like struggling, so I grabbed her and I kind of slid her over. Yeah.
Still, like I said, I have that recording when Mike fell. You can hear in the background, it's like boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then I'm going, oh my God, are you okay, Mike? Right after.
Ooh.
But yeah.
I do remember hearing that thud. It was a pretty loud thud.
I know. I looked at him. I was like, are you okay?
Did he at least save to try not to land on her?
He
think
said
he said-
he sacrificed his body to make sure that she was hurt. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think if she did get hurt, she would be crying.
I think he said that he was holding her like this,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
going up there, and he slid, and so he made sure that his elbow and his knee caged her in, so that way he didn't go
So
on
then
top of her.
it was his arm and his elbow that hit the ladder.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's
Yeah,
like, I got
'cause-
plastic burn, I think.
Yeah, because that happened to me, I think, the first time I went down with the younger one. And so when I was holding her, I think when I went down, my arm went up. And so she was basically underwater. But I had my elbow up, but then because of my elbow was up, it went further up. So like I kind of pulled that muscle a little bit. And so I when I was like that, I lifted her up like this because I couldn't like. I was like on my back to the point where like I couldn't get up because I had both my hands were occupied.
Yeah.
So I was just like trying
Core.
to like
Girl,
move.
it's core. That's what I had to do. That's why when the first time I went down, I just went the whole time up. Because I saw that you guys all went underwater.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yes.
ooh, I don't know how tall the water is going to be. So I just lifted her up.
Yeah. Yes, she was way above the water, and you were totally underwater.
Yeah.
That was us the whole time.
Yes, all of you guys were underwater. Like that.
Yeah, this is like,
But luckily it wasn't like the boys where they got water up their nose. 'Cause
know.
I didn't get that.
that freaked Jensen out. He did not like
yeah.
that feeling. He was like, oh, no.
It's like he's still at the age where he doesn't know how to blow his nose yet.
Yeah.
So of course, every time I try to teach him, he sucks in instead of blowing it out.
Man, that makes it worse.
So I'm like, boy. Whatever.
But Rowan got a little better though, because when he'll get up there, he'll like, because the back of the slide, it hurts when you like accidentally rub against it because that's where like all the seams meet.
Yeah.
And so me and Rowan was up there, and he got hurt, and he's all like, "Ow!" And I thought he was gonna cry. He's all, "Ow, ow!" And then he goes, "Oh, I'm okay." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
I think it's because he he was already excited.
He's just
about
too
everything.
having too much fun.
I know.
Yeah. That's what it is.
It was just so funny because he slipped because he was on the wall, he slipped and fell, and then he landed on his arm wrong, and he's all, ow, ow, my arm, and I was getting ready for his scream that he always does, and he's all, oh no, I'm okay.
Because I think he was already waiting to go down, right? At that time or no?
Oh, we were trying to get. He was trying to go to the furthest slide, and I was gonna go behind him, and then he slipped right by me, and I was like, "Oh my god, you okay? Ow, ow! Oh, I'm okay." He just walked over,
Oh.
That's great. That's good.
and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I noticed it because
good.
when he does get hurt, he'll like, ow, I just need to rub it out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay now.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Because that's
now.
what I teach him. It's
Yeah.
like if you're not bleeding, you're fine. Just
Just rub it
rub it
out.
out, and
Yeah.
just keep going. You know,
Yeah.
because you don't want to ruin your fun that you're having.
Yeah.
So just rub it out and go, play through it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, back to the subject here. It says here that psychopathy has been long in the world, and they would talk about like during the Depression, and how people would call other people who were like depressed, shy, or like insecure. Basically, what do you call it? Feelings that are like alien to other people. They would call those people like psychopaths. If that makes sense, because they don't understand like
Yeah.
depression and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So of course they will call them, psychopaths because they think they were crazy for feeling the way they were feeling. So, let's see. So they take the diagnosis of the disorder seriously because of the stigma that comes with it. Let's see. It says here that the causes of psychopathy are still not understand too well. However, research has demonstrated that it is highly correlated with abnormal brain activity. That is a product of both genetics and very early developmental problems.
I have a theory. I wonder if, because you know how we talk about like generational trauma and everything, and people have said that whatever it's in the DNA, that whatever our ancestors, like hundreds of generations before us, whatever they experienced and whatever pain they went through, it's in our DNA right now. Like it hasn't gone away. Like it's still in there. And that's all how some people say that if it was common for, people in your generations before you were like heavy drinkers, that if you had a chance of drinking, there's a chance that you will be a heavy drinker too, because it's just in your DNA, like for you to be easily consumed by that. And so that makes me wonder what if that correlated to this is where, like not feeling anything and everything. What if like whatever famine or like depression that they went through, where they couldn't have enough food to eat and stuff, like, and access to like just care to live or to live at all, was not there. And so what if that carried on? Because they're like, I'm trying to think like, you don't have any emotion, or you don't have the ability to have empathy towards other people. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like they had to do that to survive. Like it's either us or you. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it and carried it on.
Kind of in the way of like survival of the fittest.
Yeah, like I wonder.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you had to do that in the past because, you want your family to survive, but there's other people there literally dying. And it's kind of like, well.
Sucks to be you.
So I was wondering, like, maybe that's a theory.
That is a theory. Could be it, yeah. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, that goes along with the both genetics and very early developmental problems. In other words, both nature and nurture play a role in the development of psychopathy.
Wow.
Yeah, and it says here, typically an individual will have a genetic predisposition to psychopathy, and then a poor environment that allows this disorder to manifest in their lives. So basically, just because it's in your genetics, it doesn't mean that you'll completely become it, but you're definitely like pre-programmed for it or
Higher
predisposed.
chance of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, you're more susceptible. I guess that's the word I'm
yeah.
saying. Yeah, it's like
Dang.
like if a trauma or like something disastrous happens to you when you're like younger, like they say here, when you're early development stages, then yeah, that probably would just trigger it,
Wow.
type of thing. So yeah, kind of like what you said, like the alcoholism and stuff like that. So I can see that. It may run in your DNA, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll become one. You're just
Yeah.
more susceptible to it. It says here that research done by the developmental psychologist Robert Keegan back in like 1986 revealed that an abnormally slow rate of brain development causes psychopaths to be essentially frozen in time, such that they never grow out of the egocentricity, impulsiveness, and selfishness that marks adolescence.
Oh, that's interesting to say that, because you know how what I went to school for.
Yeah.
We had to learn about the human development in different stages.
Yeah.
Because the ego is like when you're a child, like because you know when you think about kids, they always think about me. That's why I think it's like the ego.
Yeah.
And that's what they're always focused on. So I wonder if that's related to that too, because you said it's depends on basically what they experience and if they have that in their genetics too, right?
Yeah.
So that basically means, if I'm thinking out aloud, that their trauma triggers it, and basically they like it activates them being doing that, and they're stuck
Yeah, stuck
in
in that trauma
in
time.
the trauma. Yeah, because that's what happens to people who experience some type of PTSD from their trauma.
Yeah.
As well, or from their childhood, is that they're stuck there, and like that's why they always talk about like healing your inner child. So that makes me think, oh,
Yeah, that totally makes sense, because yeah, it says here they're essentially frozen in time, so they never like fully mature. So yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, because that reminds me of that one person that we all know, and that person's like that a lot. They're kind of stuck in time.
Yeah, they're stuck in that one portion of their life that
Yeah, and they refuse to
Evolve.
move forward with it because they think this was the best time or this was the time of whatever.
me.
Yeah, and they refuse to do anything about it.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to how it is diagnosed. So, accurately diagnosing an individual with psychopathy is an incredibly crucial task because this disorder is so highly stigmatized in society, especially within the media and popular culture. A positive diagnosis can come with an incredibly pejorative label.
I just think about, because like when you diagnose someone in the mental health professional field, like you know how I told you guys that whatever you talk with your therapist is protected by law too, you know, because it's like a whole like doctor patient privilege deal. But in cases for like where they have to go to court, they have to release it if it's related to like harm. So I'm just thinking, like, imagine if someone got, like me and my crazy self thinking, like imagine if someone they have been diagnosed like that, but they're not violent and they got framed, like because of all of the stigma. Like I can see that.
Yes.
So it's kind of like you also don't want to be diagnosed with it too.
Yeah.
Or just go, but then you do want to get help because it's not healthy.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't. Sometimes I wonder, is like, I don't remember reading it, but like, do psychopaths realize that they're psychopaths? You know,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Maybe not, because I feel like you'd have to not be one to be self-aware necessarily. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's narcissists who are self-aware that they are narcissists.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of them, they don't. Because what you said on the definition of a psychopath, or they don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
So
no
therefore,
emotions.
they'll never get to the point to where
There's a
they're
self-awareness.
self-aware of themselves.
that is true.
So I don't think
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, correct us if we're wrong. If any of our listeners know more about this than what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm pretty sure there's a spectrum.
I think
But
it's
like,
a-
I think I'm thinking of like when you get to Jeffrey Dahmer's stage.
Yeah.
I
I
was gonna
don't
be like-
think he's self-aware.
Well,
of
technically, they say neurologists claim that technically he's not a psychopath.
that. Oh.
Oh.
Then they diagnosed him with, is it borderline personality disorder?
Oh.
Because he fits those traits, and also because he had empathy with his victims. That's why.
That's true. He did.
That's why he doesn't have. He's not a psychopath.
So
Unlike-
he's more of a sociopath then.
I guess
Because I mean, I was confused with like when people are diagnosed with personality disorders. So because it's like, so is that like a nicer way of saying that they are on the spectrum of psychopathy or sociopathy? You know, because it's just it says here that it's basically antisocial personality disorder.
For borderline personality disorder, it says here that it has a wide range of symptoms, but it's broadly grouped in 4 main areas, which is emotional stability, disturbed patterns of thinking or perception, impulsive behavior, and intense but unstable relationships with others.
Okay, so maybe so borderline personality disorder is different from antisocial personality disorder then?
I guess so.
Because yeah, that's basically BPD,
Yeah.
and then there's
Which it says for emotional stability that you can experience ranges of often intense negative emotions such as rage, sorrow, shame, panic, terror, and the long-term feelings of emptiness and loneliness. And remembering from the TV show, he did have a lot of those. Like it'll like switch like really fast. Because I remember in the TV show, he would go to like the gay clubs and like look for potential victims and stuff, and he'll have like a bond with them. But then like right when something goes wrong or doesn't go his way, he kind of switches.
Oh yeah, and like sometimes he doesn't remember
Yeah, sometimes he doesn't remember what happens.
like how he killed them.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's intense.
That's another topic for something another day.
Okay, so going down this here,
But Ted Bundy, though, yeah, he is considered a psychopath. So
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see that. Back in the 80s, Canadian psychologist Robert Hare developed the psychopathy checklist, which is also the PCL. It's a universal tool that distills the wide-ranging characteristics of this condition into a 20-item inventory. So through administering a semi-structured interview and reviewing the client's personal files, clinicians rely on the PLC to provide a reliable and valid measure of a construct that has direct implications for mental health and the criminal justice system. Okay, so the checklist distinguishes between 2 different diagnostic factors. Factor 1 describes affective criteria, and Factor 2 contains socially deviant criteria. The instrument requires clinicians to give a score on each of the total items on a scale from 0, which item does not fit, to 2, item definitely fits. Thus, the minimum score is 0 and the maximum score is 40. Hare defined psychopathy as a score of 30 or more, excluding most individuals with ASPD, since these individuals are less likely to exhibit interpersonal and affective traits. So, sign and symptoms. Let's see. He revised it to include 4 separate factors. These factors capture the key signs and symptoms of psychopathy and are as follows. Factor 1, interpersonal. Let's see. So basically, superficial charm, grandiose sense of self-worth, pathological lying, and conning and manipulative. Okay, that's factor 1. Factor 2, the affective, which is a lack of remorse or guilt, emotionally shallow, callous, lack of empathy, failure to accept responsibility for own actions.
I'm sorry. It just reminded me because one of the experiences I have to do for my degree back then is that I got to sit on certain clients, and it was the most scariest thing seeing someone that does not have any affective traits. Like basically, like if you're looking at me, see right now you're doing it. I'm talking to you. You're nodding. You're looking at me. You can tell if I'm sad. You can tell if I'm mad.
Yeah.
And you will react to that. Literally, someone that has no affect, it's the most creepiest stuff. They would be blank right here, all up in here.
Oof.
They would be like this.
Sorry, I'm thinking of a person. Sorry, that was the most creepiest smile I put on my face.
Yeah, you did.
It's because
Evil.
somebody in my head clicked on when you said that. It
Yeah.
reminded me of somebody
It's
that
so
we both know.
Uh-huh.
And so it clicked in my head because I was like, oh no, I feel like that when I talk to that person.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's why I smiled. I'm so sorry.
You were just reading that, and I was just saying that it just like brought up a memory for me, and
Yeah.
I got to see someone, like a potential. Basically, I got to sit in on one of my internships, and a client was basically in a situation where they were getting stalked by someone, and I could sit in on it while that person that was being accused was being interviewed by the police. And I was just kind of like, it had chills like down my spine, and my, like the hair on my neck stood up, because when they were questioning that person, they were like, why did you follow this person? Why did you corner them? Why did you do this? And then they were just like, yeah. Or didn't even say anything, like, at all. And I was just like,
Wow.
oh my god, that's so creepy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, that's one of the, let's
Scary.
see.
Just reminded me of that.
That is scary. That especially since you got to sit in on one of those and actually see it. Yeah, I'm sure that was creepy.
What was your degree in again?
Social work.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Social work is not just about taking children away. So take your miseducated self away and go Google it.
Okay, factor 3, lifestyle. Let's see. They need the need of stimulation, proneness to boredom, a parasitic lifestyle, lack of realistic long-term goals, impulsivity, irresponsibility. And then the fourth is antisocial, poor behavioral control, early behavioral problems, juvenile delinquency, revocation of conditional release, and criminal versatility. Another one that was put in like in the other group is promiscuous sexual behavior and short-term marital relationships. Because the PCLR is scored on a scale from 0 to 40, it is possible and very likely that an individual will exhibit a combination of traits from all 4 of these buckets. And because there are 20 different items, it is also likely that 2 individuals who may be diagnosed with psychopathy will score very differently on each item. In other words, no 2 cases of psychopathy will look the same.
Makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like I guess what you're saying, whether or not they can live a normal life in a way.
Like they're on a spectrum
Yeah,
kind of thing.
kind of on a spectrum. Let's see. It says here one individual might be a pathological liar in the corporate setting. There you go. And another might live a parasitic lifestyle and be unable to maintain meaningful emotional relationships.
Oh.
So, although there are several manifestations of psychopathy, a common duality among psychopaths is that of successful and unsuccessful psychopaths.
Bless you.
Thank you. Oh, that hurt.
So, a successful psychopath might sound like an oxymoron. Like, how can a psychopath, someone who is generally depicted as violent and devoid of emotion, be successful? Well, typically, an individual who is classified as a successful psychopath has intact neurological functioning, which helps them achieve their goals with more nonviolent methods. Okay, so we have some brain terms here. They Their amygdalas and prefrontal cortices have normal volumes, leading to better executive functioning and protecting them from conviction. Generally speaking, these individuals are able to achieve marked societal success, whether it be through degrading employees, blaming others, or relying on deceptiveness, especially in the workplace. So, yeah, those. I'm sure some of those dick people up in a higher ladder are probably one of those.
Dang.
Let's see. An example is like they found that psychopathic qualities of bosses negatively impact employee performances and decrease their mood and well-being. They also detailed a direct relationship between an increased PCLR score and employee distress and job satisfaction, such that a higher score predicts higher employee psychological distress and lower job satisfaction. Yeah, so basically a dick boss, you know. They're highly successful, they're smart and everything, but they're just an ass. Not very nice, you know. Let's see.
Oh, empirical research. Which
Alright.
means evidence-based.
Oh, I was like, what does that mean?
Evidence-based
talking to
research,
people who don't know.
where they actually went and they did research, where they did studies.
Yes.
I hated how to do papers all or that. So.
Yes. Because genetics is half of the nature plus nurture equation, researchers have looked into the genetic ties to psychopathy. Specifically, a study conducted on twins found that 50% of the variance in antisocial behavior is attributed to genetics.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, nature versus nurture. Let's see. Furthermore, the study identified 7 genes, such as, sorry, it's getting a little scientific here. Genes such as
That
5H.
looks like shit.
What? The word looks like shit?
Yes, because it's 5-HTT, so it looks like shit.
Sorry.
Something that you put in a username.
Yeah. And also BDNF, which are thought to influence brain structures and cause aggressive behavior. Another gene, MAOA, controls the production of a protein that breaks down brain signaling chemicals such as dopamine and serotonin, and is thought to contribute to psychopathic behavior in individuals with a variant of this disease. So, wow.
Oh, so that's good. They do have research on it.
You know, oh, sorry. I was going to be like, so with all this information, because this kind of reminds me of like the Korean Return Superman show where he took his kids to therapy just to see how they think
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like, so if at such a young age, would they be able to detect stuff like that? You know, which
Yes,
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure,
I believe so.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there was there was a 8-year-old in India, is it India? That basically I would not know if you would call him a psychopath, but he ended up killing the young kid. I think ended up killing.
Is it allegedly? Or is it actually?
Yeah, he did it on purpose.
I know, but I'm just saying, I don't know if there was like an actual
Like evidence to
Evidence,
prove
so-
that he did it.
he allegedly did it, you know?
Yeah, because he verbally said so that he did it.
Oh.
But yeah,
So
he
not allegedly. Like
yeah, he just verbally said, "Yeah, I did it.
Oh.
I did this to it." It was like most of them were babies too, so
Oh.
like one of them I think was his cousin.
Oh, I remember that. That story.
That 8-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah. He like. I think it was. I don't know if it was just 1 or 2, but his parents were just like freaking out because it was his mom's sister's kid, and so she was just like, oh, I was just like, how am I gonna tell my sister this?
Wow.
But yeah, he showed no remorse. I think he ended up burying the child
Yeah.
in the backyard or something, and he showed them where he buried. Like, he's just like
with no emotion
no
whatsoever.
emotion. He's like,
Right
here, I buried her here.
I'm trying to think about the developmental stage.
Like it doesn't seem like.
I think that is the age where they develop a moral compass. So yes, that makes sense.
Yes, I think I listened to it on a podcast if I remember correctly.
Oh my god.
My God, it's like The Walking Dead. It's a little side note, but y'all never watched it. That girl was around the same age on The Walking Dead show, and she was like, she basically like murdered the little girl. She's 8. She murdered the little 4-year-old.
Oh.
Because on the show, you know, they're all like escaping from zombies.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to, I think something like broke in her brain, and she was like, "Oh, I'm trying to." All the fans out there would know. They're like, "Oh, I did that, so she'll come back. She's gonna come back because you know they're zombies."
Yeah, it was
my
an
God.
8-year-old. Yeah. Amarjeet Sada. She's the world's youngest serial, or he,
Wait.
the youngest, world's youngest serial killer. Because I think he killed like 2 or 3.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But anyways, back to
But
my
yeah.
thing. So if they catch her early, is it, I wouldn't say treatable, but like, are you able to what's
Find
the
ways for
word?
them to find other ways to like control that.
Yeah, you know, try to
Impulsiveness,
like,
yeah.
you know, teach them.
I want
how
to say
instead of being like Elsa and trying to,
Keep them from society or,
yeah.
or family, whatever. Yeah.
where it's like there's healthier outlets to, you know, learn the emotion, feel the emotion, and then
I think that's
Grow
kind of
with
like that reminds me of the TV show Dexter. I
uh-huh.
don't know if you guys ever watched it.
no, but I know what it's about.
Yeah, it reminds me of that because I mean that's definitely not a healthy way, an healthy outlet, but it's a better it's a better outlet compared to what it could be, type of thing.
Which one's Dexter?
Dexter's the one where he was very young and he was exposed to like a very horrific murder trauma scene or whatever, and he because of that trauma he grows up to be like a sociopath, and he at a very young age his adoptive father noticed that he was starting to kill animals. Not, I wouldn't say for fun, but it's more of just kind of like that's what the trauma thing did to him. So he was killing animals and stuff like that, and so his adoptive dad knew that would probably develop into him wanting to kill people. And so he he guided Dexter to because he knows that he was going to grow up to do that. So he's like, if you're going to do that, if you feel the need to do that, do it to bad people.
Oh, so he
Like-
becomes like a vigilante.
Not really. He gets a career in
Doesn't he work in law enforcement?
yeah,
at all?
criminal
Oh,
yeah,
he's
he
a
works
hitman.
No, not a hitman. He disguises his condition as a criminal, the people who do evidence and stuff. Yeah, so he works for the criminology
Forensic team.
Yes, there you
Uh-huh.
go. Yeah, he's a
Oh, so it makes sense for him to be around
yes.
dead
Yeah, so
bodies and stuff.
Oh,
so what he does is he collects all the evidence and he solves the murders, the murders himself, and he goes and finds the murder and he kills the murderer. That's kind of his release of his
And how he
psychopathy.
justifies it.
Yeah, how he justifies it is because I'm killing bad people, so it's okay.
Dang.
But also he's very meticulous on how he kills these people.
right.
So after he does it, he's very careful. Since he works in evidence, he knows how to keep evidence from leaving behind while he kills these people.
Right.
So he's very meticulous, and no one knows that it's him.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of
Oh.
What it reminds you of.
yeah, that's what reminds me of kind of like the whole treatment thing for
Yeah,
him.
you know, like, which I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that's why I'm just kind of like, I think it'd be good. I know therapy is not affordable in this country,
yeah.
but
Well,
yeah.
speaking of treatment, it comes to it. So, it says here that it is hard to identify one treatment for psychopathy because, there's not a clear cause or two cases of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like snowflakes. No two cases are alike.
Right.
And therefore, there's no one drug or one specific form of therapy that has been found to universally reduce the effects of this order.
Right.
So treatments must be unique. What works for some might not work for all. I think that's just therapy in general.
Yeah, because everybody is a
Everybody's
snowflake.
different. Yeah.
Everybody's different.
A different meaning for snowflake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Regardless, treatment should aim to reduce substance abuse, remove the association with negative networks, and alter behavior. A common approach is group therapy, a form of psychotherapy that involves one or more therapists working with several people at the same time. In addition to group therapy, decompression treatment, which emphasizes ways in which positive reinforcement can shape and improve behavior, has been successful in reducing recidivism rates among violent juvenile
What the heck
offenders.
does that mean?
I have no idea. Maybe like how you keep doing the same thing.
I was like, Molly, can you look it up?
The recidivism.
Recidivism.
And that study was done a while back too.
Yeah. Yeah. So despite their what is it?
It says that word means the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There you go.
you just gotta use some fancy word.
It refers to a person's relapse into criminal behavior.
Oh, relapsing
After
basically.
the person receives sanctions and undergoes intervention for a previous crime.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
despite
don't know if they heard you because you didn't say that in the mic or not.
And I will put the definition on top.
I don't. Well, I don't think I'll hear it in.
in the
editing.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah,
just repeat it.
repeat what you said.
Okay, hold on. I just pressed the back button. Okay. According to Google, it says the recidivism. How do you ever pronounce it? That is the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. And then there's another deeper definition. Says it refers to a person's relapse into criminal behavior, often after the person receives sanctions or undergoes intervention for a previous crime.
So relapse.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So it says here that despite there not being many surefire treatment methods for psychopaths, this does not mean they can't be rehabilitated. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and it just goes to talk about famous psychopaths, like Ted Bundy.
Should be
There you go.
notorious, not famous, because that's what it is. Notorious. You know?
Yes. Yeah, who raped and murdered at least 36 women over the course of 4 years back in the 70s. It says here, not all psychopaths are heartless killers, and not all heartless killers are psychopaths. What distinguishes Bundy from others is his mask of sanity.
That's scary.
That is, on the surface, he appeared to be a charming and charismatic individual who people respected and trusted, but underneath that mask was a cold-hearted killer.
Dun 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 dun.
So yeah, just because they are serial killers does not make them psychopaths, and just because they're psychopaths, it does not make them heartless killers.
Also, if you do end up getting this diagnosis too, I'm pretty sure it's kind of scary because there's kind of like, well, would that mean that I'm gonna be evil?
Yeah, you associate it together.
But it's not supposed to be, you know. The human experience is so unique, especially the way that our brains are, that I feel like, kind of like what you guys said about the snowflake, shouldn't define us to that diagnosis.
Oh my god, so this reminds me of Mob Psycho.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Anime. I'm so sorry. I just finished Mob Psycho, and this reminds me of that because his mentor says something like that. Because Mob, he was telling his mentor.
Is this gonna be spoiler alert?
Yeah, you're gonna spoil.
Is it
No, they're gonna. It's in the first season. And no, it's just what his what his mentor says to him, his master
okay.
says to him, which is so, they comfort him a lot because Mob, who is the main character, he has psychic powers, right? And so those psychic powers can turn into like telekinesis and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And so he hurt his brother, his younger brother, on purpose, or not on purpose, on accident. And so ever since then, he's kind of scared to use his powers.
Yeah.
And so his mentor said, you know, us humans in the world, we have different abilities. Some people, they can run really good. Some people can sing really good. Some people can do all these other things really good. You know, you having psychic powers is the same like that, you know, but it still means that we're all human and we all need each other to like work together kind of thing. I'm butchering it. I don't remember what he said, but it's something along those lines, you know, but it comforted Mob. Because of that, because he felt like he was so different and so like nobody's gonna like me, nobody's going to want me.
Don't think he's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But his mentor told him, you know, it's just like the same as somebody being a good runner or having a singing ability. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then ever since then, Mob worked for his master ever since then. Kind of thing. And so the more you watch the series, the more you can his master kind of teaches him more things like that to help Mob, because he just feels
So
so
unwanted. and
unwanted kind of thing.
Oh, dang.
And I'm like, okay. But yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, I know I've only covered psychopaths and not sociopaths.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, that whole thing, that the whole spiel was just about psychopaths.
Oh. Damn.
So I'll probably we'll do a second episode sometime down the line about sociopaths to kind of connect the two. But to end it, besides the psychopathy where it can be treated and stuff like that, I'll do a quick little definition for sociopaths. It's here somewhere. Where did it go?
A little pinky.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. It says here for sociopaths, unlike psychopathy, in which affective and interpersonal traits are paramount, behavioral traits alone make ASPD unique. It's not a short-term disorder. It is a long-standing pattern of behavior that impairs functioning and causes distress. So basically, sociopathy is also referred to as antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. So it's slightly different, but we'll talk about that more in another episode. So, so I hope this was some intriguing information for you guys. It was for us. We had like little side discussions about certain things of the topic. So if this is what I've read on the internet, you know, not everything that we say could be correct. So if you have any corrections for us or info, please correct us down below or give us some more info that you know of. But yes, the episode was about psychopathy and sociopathy, which we'll cover in another episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to little fun facts about psychology stuff. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye. Bye.